mysterious death curse washes over the land, driven by a powerful artifact known as the Soulmonger. 4 would-be heroes have been sent to the jungles of Chult to destroy the cause of this terrible affliction. Vail, the half-elven paladin, who's just now learning of his divinely granted powers. Ubo, the total monk from a distant land, who's as quick with his wit as he is with his staff. Berlinia, Aasimar warlock, sent on this quest by her temple, discovering herself in this strange new land. And gunslinger Cole, tiefling artificer and archaeologist who may just dig up more than she bargained for. This motley band of adventurers must work together to brave the poisonous plants, venomous monsters, thundering dinosaurs, and rotting undead of the jungle. Join the omnipotent dungeon master Jake from many-terrain domain to see if our heroes can find the Soulmonger, uncover the deeper mysteries of Chult, and free the world from the death curse. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to Chult of Personality.
So, does anybody want to hazard a recap from the last session?
You know what? Let me try my hand at it for once. I'll throw my hat in there.
All right, go for
All
it.
right.
Peace.
So, here's what we have. The entire group is in these tunnels, having just fled from Chult Thomas's ambush by the hags, the Drowned Sisters. As we're running, Cole is kind of slightly watching Berlinia, who's having a mental breakdown / visionary trip / crazy acid tab in the form of Ubo's baby turtle, right? Distracts Cole, and Cole trips the tripwire. In reality, Berlinia had no impact on tripping the tripwire, but the tripwire was tripped, and Cole was blinded along with almost everyone else, and then we were surrounded by a bunch of angry dudes with Scottish accents. They then acknowledged that they are from the Flaming Fist, I believe, Jake, and they were basically telling us to shut up and listen, because there was some crazy shit going on outside. Which Cole was in like, you know what, they're probably giants. And Ubo was like, they're not giants. What are you talking about, Cole? You're being stupid. And then we go outside, and it turns out they were giants, proving Cole right once again. This is why I want to do the recap, is to say that Cole was right once again. So we find the giants, and Ubo, who is having some issues because he has failed to save Berlinia several times now, becomes very suicidal and goes up to the giant because he speaks giant. And this giant comes out and is wearing his dope loincloth and is covered in all these tree Chult fetishes, right? In reality, he's just very dirty. But he's covered in these cool tree Chult fetishes, and he goes down and he's all like, "What's up, dude?" And Ubo's like, "Yo." And then they have a quick conversation, where Ubo has several death threats made to him, but he then sells out our hero, Chult Thomas, but he does it in giant, so that way no one else can know that he's selling him out. And then he sends the giant off to go kill the hags in exchange for proof that the giant was here. He doesn't tell the giant that he's looking for proof. He just says he wants something in return, and he gives this really wicked dagger that's really a great sword to lesser non-giants such as ourselves. So our new buddies at the Flaming Fist are like, "Yo, you got that? We got the proof. Let's go on back." So we go up to the fort, right? We go into the fort. Things are chill. We meet the head fort lady. What was the head fort lady's name, Jake?
That would be Blaze Liara Portier.
Yes, we meet Blaze Liara. She comes out all chill and whatnot. She's like, "Yo, homies, good job bringing the proof, but it's really bad out there, so let's get you these charters." And before she can say anything else, Ubo saunters on up, all angry and in his shell about something. We don't know why he's in his shell, but he's just going at it at the Blaze. And Cole's like, "Yo, dog, you gotta chill. She's trying to help us out." And then she's like, "Yo, turtle, you gotta chill. I'm trying to help you out." But Ubo just gets deeper in his shell, and then he storms off. But the thing is, we're in an open courtyard, so he has nowhere to storm off to. So he just slightly walks off, and Cole's like, "My bad about the turtle. It's been very stressful in Chult the last few days. That's all I could say." And she's like, "All right, well, go get some rest. Come eat with me later and fix your attitudes before I kill all of you." And that's where the session ended.
That was brilliant.
That was absolutely amazing. Marquise, take a point of
Thank you.
inspiration for that killer recap
Appreciate
of the
it.
last session.
Thug edition.
I was so eager to get into the session, I forgot to introduce these players real quick. We've got down here with the awesome recap, Marquise from A Point of Inspiration playing Gunslinger Cole, the Tiefling Artificer. And then right up above there, we've got Drake, the RPG Construct, and my better half of the Something RPG podcast, playing Ubo, the Turtle Monk. Immediately over here on the other side, we've got Megan from Dice on Ice YouTube channel, at Dice on Ice RPG on Twitter, once she figures out what she's doing there.
Wait, Jake, before you continue, reverse it, because on the stream, you were pointing to the wrong person.
On my screen, I'm pointing to the right person.
Oh, maybe my stream's the one that's messed up.
Oh, I'm pointing right now to Megan playing Berlinia, the ASMR Warlock. And down in this corner, last but certainly not least, though I keep making him last, it's Mike the Piper playing Vail Istafal, the half-elf paladin. And, of course, this is Chult of Personality, the Tomb of Annihilation, D&D 5th edition. This is episode 7. Can we talk? That's the title of the episode. So, as you recall, the very last word from Blaze Liara, Blaze being her rank, not a part of her name. Blaze Liara, she had said that you are all invited to dinner in the Inner Bailey with her and her captains tonight. It's in a short while. She's given you time to talk amongst yourselves, get settled in, and get cleaned up for dinner. And then she heads off in who knows what direction. So as soon as Blaze Liara goes away, what are the four of you doing? What's going on?
Well, are we still in the open courtyard?
You would have been led inside by an attendant who would take you up to the second floor of the Inner Bailey and show you to your rooms. Or rather, it's a probably about a 20 by 20 room with a half a dozen cots in there, set up for you to share.
Sorry. I think with that, if it's the only thing that Ubo sees is the cots and stuff, if there's one big enough that he thinks would take his weight, he would literally just kind of lay down and just stare off in the space. He wouldn't say anything to anybody.
As you recline under the cot, it groans in protestation under the extra weight. But it's made of strong bamboo and canvas and supports you nonetheless.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Ubo? No, seriously, before you say anything, what you did back there was the stupidest, most reckless, and most arrogant thing you have ever done. You're completely different than you were, 6 days ago? I met you and you were spouting all this bullshit, but the wisdom, I was like, okay, he's kind of smart, maybe he won't be too bad, but now you're acting like you're the fucking Mad Monkey Fever. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Ubo wouldn't make eye contact. You would just hear him sigh. Just a very loud, almost like hollow, like the kind of like echoed through a shell. Just a, it's not important.
What the fuck do you mean it's not important? What does that mean? Do you think moving through Chult is not important? Do you think saving Syndra is not important? Do you think me and Berlinia and Vail dying is not important? Because what you're doing is ensuring that all three of those things do not come to pass. That we die and everything goes to shit. So what do you mean when you say not important?
That's a story. And One that I don't think you need to know.
I don't want to know it either. I don't care about the big-ass chip you have on your shoulder, Ubo. Look at me. I have red skin, tail, and a demon horn. You think people haven't been shit-talking me and beating me my entire fucking life? You think you're the only person who's had it tough, Ubo? No, you're not. And you don't see me going out of my way to fuck us all over. The Blaze is giving us our charters for free, and you were doing your damnedest to make sure she didn't do that.
And Ubo would... Hearing that, he'd kind of sit up and he'd say, the charter for free, because we brought back proof that there was a giant there. You're right. I had nothing to do with that. Nothing at all.
Did what I say just go into one ear and out the other? Did you just ignore the words I spoke? I didn't say anything about what you've done. I said, and I'm going to repeat it now, and don't make me have to repeat myself again, Ubo. I said, and I quote, she was going to give it to us for free, and you were doing your damnedest to make sure that didn't happen because you wanted to get smart-assed with her for no reason.
Again, he would just lay back. He would just lay back and just shrug. If you could imagine like turtle shoulders, just kind of shrugs and just kind of leans back, and you hear the groan of that cot again, and he would just say one last thing to you, though, Cole. He would say, I won't have an answer that you would find acceptable, so you might as well stop asking.
Cole looks at him for a second. She looks at him hard, and her eyes narrow, and she's studying him. She's watching how he just kind of looks away from her. She's watching as he doesn't admit defeat, but he just gives up on the conversation. And she takes a step forward and then a step back, and she says to him, if this is how you're going to be, I would rather that when we get back to the port, you just disappear and go back to wherever you came from. Because if you keep acting like this, we're already dead. And then she's going to turn and walk out.
No response at all.
And Cole, as you walk out, you'd probably see Berlinia just standing there in the hall. And she's walking towards it, and she just kind of stops. She looks at you, and she's just kind of like, if she could disappear into the wall, she would.
Brill stops, and she stares at her for a second. Okay, sorry, Cole stops, and she stares at her for a second. She says, he likes you a lot. Maybe you can get him out of this funk that he's in. But if you can't, we might have to be parting ways soon. And then she just keeps walking.
And Berlinia wouldn't say anything, just kind of nod, and but you'd probably hear a knock at your door.
Again, no response. He wouldn't care.
And she would open it. And are you still laying down?
Yeah, absolutely. Just staring off into space.
And she'd walk in silently and close the door silently behind her. And she would just, if there was a seat, she would take it, but if there wasn't, then she'd just kind of slide down against the wall to the floor and just sit there kind of cross-legged, and just not say anything, and just kind of sit there for a long while. And I don't know in that if there would be a time frame where Ubo would say something.
I think that he'd be embarrassed. He wouldn't want to look at you. He wouldn't want to speak to you. He wouldn't want to face you. He would just want you to go away. He wouldn't tell you to go away, but he wouldn't engage. He's just absolutely humiliated in every way.
Berlinia, roll insight.
Sure. That's a 4.
Okay. While you guys are sitting in silence, I want to cut over to Vail, and just a reminder, you were led to a room that's kind of on the outer edge of the second floor of the Bailey, and there's 4 cots in there for you all to share. You're all expected to share this room. So you can either be sitting on the floor or on one of the cots. But Vail, where are you during Cole's outburst, and then immediately afterward? What are you doing?
So what had happened is that I actually went in with those two, right behind them, because all I could think of is, oh, this is going to be grand. A cot, an actual cot. No sleeping on the ground. No picking scorpions the size of horses out of my bedroll. Oh, this is going to be great. And then I go walking in, and I basically spin around and just allow myself to fall backwards onto this cot just as Cole begins her rant. And just in that moment, I go, nope. I let my back just bounce off the cot. I come straight back into my feet, and I just walk straight out the door. And I'm like, having none of this. And I just go walking straight out. I kind of bump into Berlinia a bit, and I smile and wink at her, and Mom and Dad are fighting again. And I just like basically just queue off down the Bailey just to kind of walk around. Eventually, I find a spot, kind of just maybe some place where there's like a bit of grass growing, maybe like out in the yard. And I kind of just sit down cross-legged in the yard, and I kind of pull out my lucky, totem that I found, and I'm just kind of looking at it.
Give me a perception.
I am all kinds of not perception here. Like 6.
Okay. So yeah, you go back out into that inner courtyard where you guys first were, when you kind of wander out, and the bazaar is kind of all the tents of the bazaar are kind of closed up already. The few merchants that were in the fort have kind of closed down, but you can see just beyond them to the north, you can see where the fort has a small garden, and there is a section of grass near the garden that looks pretty inviting and pretty comfortable. And so I would imagine that's where you find yourself before long, like you said, being able to, pull up a piece of grass there in the evening warmth.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of twirl the charm kind of in my hand, like on the leather thong, and I just kind of spin it and say, what kind of a lucky charm are you? I mean, I had a life, at least in the mainland. It wasn't much of one. I mean, I was doing bits here and there, counting nails and helping folk out for coin and a meal and mucking out stables. I didn't like that. I'm not going to lie, I didn't like that. But then I found you. Now everything's changed. I've got a sword now. I don't even know how to use it. I don't care what Cole says, or Ubo. I don't know this thing. It's just I don't know. Don't know what's going on. But I think you've got something to do with it. And I smile. And now I'm sitting in this bizarre. And what now? God, that was a terrible joke. Anyway. Then I just keep looking at it,
and you hear from behind you, just off to the left, up to your left and slightly behind you, you hear, "A cuppa for your thoughts." And if you turn in the direction of the voice, you would see a you would see a dark-skinned Chultan man wearing priestly garments. And we're going to cut over to Cole. Where did you storm off to?
Would there be a place to basically take a bath?
The closest you would find to that is if you went to the stables and took a horse bath in a horse trough.
How did the soldiers? Never mind. Actually, Cole sees this, and she has a lot of questions in her head, and then she says no, and she turns and leaves the stables, and she goes to look for Solita.
Okay, and we're going to cut back up to the room where Berlinia and Ubo have been sitting in a very weighted silence.
Ubo would not be the first to speak. He would not. Like as I said, he really just wants Brill to go.
I think Berlin can really sense that, but she's just been kind of fiddling with her clothes, like the very tattered edges that she cut, trying to form the right words, and she would be the one to break the silence. You have been through a lot of pain.
Says the person who just died. Because I couldn't stop it. Everybody's been through pain. Not just me.
Yes, that's true, everyone in their own way. But you have not. There's a pain in your mind, and I think that's the worst because it eats at you. And you become your own worst enemy. And it's not about dying or physical pain. Sometimes emotional, mental pain can be the worst.
He would sit up and just kind of face you and just very, very kind of matter of fact say, look, I know you're just doing what you were trained to do. You're trying to help. You're trying to heal me or whatever it is that you do. You can't. None of this. Thank you for trying. But I am not your mission.
Mission. No, I can't help you. You will have to do that yourself.
See? So you don't need to be here. So you can go too.
But that doesn't mean that you can't get help. Or I'm not doing this because I feel like I need to. You don't understand. You could never understand. None of you could understand. And there is too much to explain. I'm sorry that I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry that, again, I failed. It won't happen again. Because I'm not going to try. She's kind of silent for a bit. And when you were small, and we were running through the caves, I I had a vision with you, and I felt the disgrace that you felt.
Ubo would look very confused and almost like slink back in his like kind of hunch over on the cot. What do you mean disgrace? What do you know about disgrace? You had a vision when I was under that spell? What are you talking about?
Listen, I don't want to pretend like I understand this or where it came from. I know it has meaning. And I saw you were on the beach and there were other turtles and they were laughing, and I felt your pain. I can't really describe it, but I got a glimpse into how you feel. So yes, I do understand at least a little bit.
Ubo would kind of sit up straighter and kind of look at you kind of to the side, and he'd say, "What else did you see?"
I don't know. It was all very, very quick. There's just a lot of emotion and something about you and she. Are you wearing like your little cape thing that you have?
No, I actually like folded it up and put it in before we went over to the giant. I folded up and put it in my pack.
You weren't wearing that, and everyone else was. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I shouldn't be wearing that. And he'd just kind of stop himself, but he would just kind of sigh and be like, "It's not mine." Obviously, this was supposed to be a simple mission. Just escort you. And he promised it would be easy. He promised that anybody could do it. Well, I proved him wrong for once. And Ubo would kind of go over to his pack, and he would pull out that cloak. It's still all very, very nicely rolled up, and he would give it to you. He would say, "You deserve this a lot more than I do. Maybe one day the person who owns it will come back, and I don't want to be the one that gives it to him." And I think with that, you would understand a little bit more about what you saw. You would understand. You would just have a better feeling that Ubo wasn't chosen for this mission. He lied and used a little bit of trickery to get here and stole this cloak, trying to look the part. You would know that.
Yeah. And she would just kind of look down at it, and you obviously came here for a reason, and I think that I know that your time here and the part you have to play is not over yet. And so don't think that it is, because it isn't. Things happen, and by the, I don't know, Ilmater, I don't know. You do have a part. I can't say anything else. I'm not going to get angry. I just please implore you, as a friend, to just stick with it. And though it may not make sense now, or you may feel with us now, something will happen.
I would ask that you not share what you know with the others, especially to Cole. I feel that she might use it in a more abrasive way. And I'm not sure that right now is the best time for that. But please keep the cloak. For now, it isn't something that I want. So, thank you for trying to help. But I'll be here. Please, let me be. And he would just kind of motion for you to leave the room.
And she would just kind of nod and very well, and just kind of fold up the cloak and walk out.
And remind me again, Cole, where you went when you decided not to go take a bath in the trough.
She went to go find Salida.
Oh, that's right. You would you go just wandering around the outer, or rather the inner perimeter then of the...
Yeah, I would.
It would take you a few minutes of walking. You see, you kind of wander around to the north a little bit, and you see Vail just kind of sitting and muttering to himself by a garden. But heading back the other way, towards where you guys first came into the fort, you actually find her sitting in the grandstands over by the jousting lists. Just kind of sitting in a random wooden bleacher staring at the empty lists.
Cole would start basically stepping up through the list to approaching Salida, and once she got within earshot, she would look back down to the empty list and she would say, "Exciting games today, huh?"
She kind of... What? Hey. What are you talking about?
Never mind. And then Cole would sit beside her, and she would say, "Well, we made it to one destination at least."
Yes, I am that good of a guide.
You're better than I give you credit for, since the people we're traveling with must make your job extremely difficult. And that being said, I don't know exactly how we're going to get back.
You said back in Port Nyanzaru that you wished to travel through the jungle back to port. Do you still wish to do this?
Yes and no. If possible, I would like to just leave Chult if I didn't have other reasons for being here. Some of us, Ubo in particular, did not hold up well to what we faced on the way here. Be it the grungs or what happened with the scorpions to Brill, anything of it, all of it actually. He hasn't been able to take any of it well. Vail's doing alright, I think. I saw him talking to a rabbit's foot on the way over here, or something just as weird. And Brill, well, you've seen her yourself. So what do you think, Salida? How do we get back with these people as safe as possible?
Have you ever performed physical labor, chopping wood, perhaps building something, heaving stones, that sort of thing? Is this a thing you have done?
I have, in excess.
And while you are wielding a pickaxe, or while you are wielding a shovel, or carrying logs, or whatever it may be, when you first begin the work, do your hands not chafe and blister?
They do? I think I see where you're going with this.
Do they not bleed and then scab over and eventually form calluses? Yes?
Are you trying to say that they need to be going through this in order to get stronger? Is that the point you're making?
All of you are new to Chult. And Chult is not a forgiving land, as you can see. I can promise you that it won't always be this bad, but I can promise you that it will definitely get worse. You are here for very serious business. I will do my best to direct you and guide you through the safest routes and assist you where possible. But I'm afraid you and your friends may have to crack and bleed a bit to become acclimated to the jungles of Chult. I only hoped that you will all survive this.
Cole looks. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have confidence in you. They, whether you realize this or not, I think they look to you as a sort of leader.
Mike. Cole kind of looks down at that, and she runs a hand through her hair. Excuse me. She sighs. She looks at Salida, and then she looks back to the empty list, and she says, "How difficult will it be to reach the heart of Ubtao?"
What do you know about the heart of Ubtao?
Not a damn thing, but I want to go there.
I don't know if this is a thing that coincides with what it is you are here for, but that is not my place. If you want to go to a place, I will take you to the place.
So how difficult is it to get there?
It's not easy. The heart of Ubtao, as you might expect, lies in the heart of Chult. And it is through much treacherous terrain and jungles, permeated with undead and other creatures, dinosaurs, undead dinosaurs, I've been told, though I have not seen one in much time. It is, depending on how quickly we can move through the jungle and if the weather cooperates with us, I think this is something we can do in less than 2 weeks on foot.
So probably about a month then if things go to shit then, yeah?
We could probably do 1 to 2 weeks or less if we go directly there out of Port Nyanzaru and we take the river.
And how dangerous is taking the river? What would we see?
Different kinds of monsters, if there are any. All things that require life, seek out the water. If the weather does not cooperate, even if we are traveling by boat, we will have to portage, as they say, and remove ourselves from the river. These rivers become very dangerous when the rains are torrential.
Lovely.
So it's, as they say, 6 of one, a half dozen of the other. But I will take you however the direction is you wish to go.
All right. So question 2 then. From the hearts of Ubtao to the lost city of Mesro. Do you know what Mesro is? Do you know how long that would take?
They call it the Lost City for a reason. It is lost. But I know the vicinity of where it can be found, or the ruins of the city can be found.
Cole's eyes would brighten up at this, and she reaches into her pockets, again about elbow deep, and then she pulls out the rolled up map of Chult, and she unfurls it, and she says, "Can you mark on this map where it would be?"
Is this the first time you've pulled the map out in front of her? I remember.
If she was there with Choltomas, she would have saw it there as well. Actually, no. I also pulled it out our first night on land after meeting with the hag.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So she looks at your map and she traces a line from the fort down. So where you are at Fort Beluarian, I don't know if you're looking at the map I gave you guys.
Yeah.
She traces her finger down along the coast to Kitcher's Inlet.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I do believe it is already marked on your map.
Well, that makes that easy then. Do you know anything about the
half the distance it would be to Ubtao, the heart of Ubtao?
So Mezra's on the way then there, yes?
It can be. Everything's on the way to everything else, if you wish it.
She slightly frustrated with that. She takes out a quill and pen and she begins to mark the map and she says, all right, this is our path. We want to go to the heart of Ubtao, but we're going to go through the path that will take us by the area where you think Mezro is. We're going to spend some time in the ruins, and then depending on what we find, either go back to the port or go ahead to the heart. All right?
If this is what you wish, we will make preparations in the morning for this sort of travel.
All right. Thank you very much, Salida. And she rolls with the map. She slides it back into her pocket. She gives her one last look with a perked eyebrow, and then walks away.
And we'll swing back over to the north side of the fort. And for all intents and purposes, all of this is happening kind of simultaneously as Berlinia and Ubo's conversation. And at the same time, Cole is talking to Salida. Vail, you have been approached by a Chultan cleric of some sort who has just said, a couple of coppers for your tots?
Oh, nothing. Sorry. Probably just sounded a bit daft. Don't know.
It is not crazy or daft to be speaking to your gods when outside the temple. And he indicates behind him and over his left shoulder where you can see a small building that's probably about 25 by 40 foot, small stone building. This is my temple. These are the temple grounds. I find it a good place to commune with one's gods.
Sorry. I didn't know that these were temple grounds. I just wanted to talk to my lucky charm I found. I feel really bad. I'm terribly sorry.
I was not berating you for where you sit. I was merely observing. You are welcome to sit anywhere or even inside the temple.
Well, no, that's all right. I mean, like I said, it's just this thing, and I just kind of wave it in front of his face. Like, I found this thing long time ago, back in the mainland, right? I found it, and, I was just looking, and this thing brought me luck a bit, sort of, and then, now I'm not sure what kind of luck it really brought me. I mean, I'm here with a group of strange folk. Two of them seem to be arguing with each other, and one... nothing. But anyway, just me being a little bit silly, I suppose.
Might I take a look at this talisman?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just a bundle of sticks all tied together. But it looks really old. It's brought me luck so far, but here you go. And I hand it to him.
Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Because, nothing bad ever happened with that. Alrighty then. Oh, shit. Nat 20. Alright, so that'd be 23 in total.
As you hand him this this symbol, this bundle of sticks that you hold on to, he takes it in a way that he kind of grabs it and with his other hand kind of cups over your hand to pull it so that his hand goes on top of yours and kind of grazes across your hand. And as his hand touches yours, clear as day, for a split second, you see a massive stone island floating 100 feet above a swamp. A lone dead tree growing from the top of it. And as the image flashes in your mind, you hear the word like a breath. And as quick as it came, it's gone.
I snap out of it and just, whoa! That was a nice trick.
What?
That was pretty impressive. Oh,
I don't understand. Are you okay?
What was that? It's just a flash of light and some sort of a city floating and a dead tree. What was that supposed to be? Is that like a Chultan proposition or something? I mean, you're nice and all, but that was just odd. Isn't that a little sacrilegious or something? Like an Ubtao. What is Ubtao? Can you explain this? Because I got licked by a sea hag once, and she said it tasted like Ubtao. Now, at first I thought that was maybe some type of a local dish, and I was actually quite curious to try it, but it's just kind of weird.
Easy there, young man. Easy there.
I'm just saying, one doesn't normally get...
You're telling me you saw a vision just now.
Is that what that feels like?
And Ubtao, you heard this name.
Yeah, it was like a whisper or something, like like sort of a breathy kind of a whisper. Like when you're really drunk and you're trying to talk to your mates and you think you're being quiet but you're really not, and it's just more of a whisper, but then it's more of a yell. So it's a really, really loud whisper.
Curious. As he's holding this thing that you gave him in his hand, and he's looking it over, and you don't know, you have not heard this name Ubtao before, coming to Chult.
No, I mean, the only time I said something close to Ubtao was when I sneezed.
But you say that a sea hag, did you say?
Yeah, I got licked by a sea hag. And it's weird because, well, tell me about it. I mean, personally, I would have rather been chosen to be, like, horribly mutilated or beaten by a sea hag, because who licks someone? Who just says, "Oi, I don't know you, it's nice to meet you," and then run the tongue up your hand? Damn odd.
You have had quite the introduction to Chult, but it is curious that the name Ubtao seems to be clinging to you. This thing you found, it is very old. It is ancient. This is... Strangely, you say you found it away from Chult, yet I feel that it is imbued with the spirit of Ubtao. Ubtao was once the god of Chult. He was the only god that was worshipped in Chult. But he became angry with the people of Chult in their selfish ways, and over 100 years ago, he left Chult, abandoned it. In his absence, the missionaries came to Chult, and their influence spread. That is how I came to be a priest here in the temple. I worship Helm, but I open my temple to other gods.
Right.
And you say you see a vision of a floating stone with a tree on it.
Well, yeah, but it's like a city or something. It's floating over a swamp. It was like kind of like a dead tree.
I am most certain that Ubtao himself is speaking to you and through you. For what you saw, I believe to be the heart of Ubtao here in Chult.
Why do gods always speak so damn cryptically? Like, why can't they just say, look, you, the one with the pointy ears and the shitty sense of humor, go there. Go right that way, go about 3 clicks that way, and then take a rest, and then go another 2 miles that way, and then you'll be where you need to be. Not just here's a picture, like, here's something on fire, ooh, you've got to go in that direction. No, just tell me where to go. Gods are weird that way, and that's why I've never really, hitched me horse to one.
Well, it appears as though Ubtao himself is beginning to speak to you. Perhaps now that you know this, you will become more receptive to what he has to say to you. I suggest you open your pointy ears and listen. And open your heart. And open your mind.
I suppose. I mean, am I supposed to pray or something? Or am I supposed to, not eat certain foods, or I don't know, turn around in a circle 3 times? I don't know what the rules are. I mean, is it like a book or some instruction scroll? Well, see, you think it's funny, but
I do not believe that Ubtao is calling you to some sort of religious doctrine.
Well, that's good.
I don't know what he has for you, but I believe if you are being called by Ubtao, then he has a greater purpose for you, beyond dogma.
Well, I hope so.
Be interesting. He hands you back the talisman.
Cheers. And I'll put it back on.
He looks at you, and then he says, "Go with Ubtao." And he takes his hand and just places his thumb against the center of your forehead and traces a line down your nose with his thumb.
All right. And I'll do the same thing. I'll place my thumb on his forehead, and it's it must be a Chilton thing. That's okay. That's okay. I like it. I like it. It's nice, It's very touchy-feely.
And it's about that time you hear, coming from the direction of the Bailey, by the gate, "Oi! If you want to eat, let's get inside." And I would also imagine that's around the time, Cole, that you're coming back from the lists. And it's Durgan, the bald, blue-goateed human that you guys encountered the leader, the captain of one of the patrols. We've got quite a feast for you. I guess when we get visitors of some import. Well, Sigbjorn spares no expense. And as you start to head through the gate, he just kind of elbows you, Vail. Have you ever eaten dinosaur?
Does it taste like chicken?
Does it taste like chicken? That's a big damn chicken that tastes like. And as
Right,
you guys,
but does it taste like chicken? I mean, I'm just curious. I mean,
as you start heading through the door, an attendant comes up and knocks on the door where Berlinia and Ubo, where you guys are. And it appears the attendant appears actually to be one of the privates of the fort, who just says, Blaise Portia has requested that you come down to the dining hall. Dinner in your honor is to be served, apparently.
Megan, what would you have done with the cloak that I folded and gave? Well, that was folded that I gave to you.
She just kind of would have held it, or actually, she probably would have put it in her pack near her cot.
Okay. I think Ubo would, hearing that, would just kind of notice where you put it, and he would go straight to the door, pretty directly, not really wasting any time, just trying to go to eat.
And Berlinia would just look over at the attendant and just, if you'd give me just a moment, I would like to pray before I come down. I will not be but a moment.
I would just shrug, and I would open the door, head out with the guy that came to get us, and just close the door. Probably a little bit harder than is really necessary. But and then just you'd hear us walking down the hall.
So you're just lingering behind, Berlinia?
Yeah. She would kind of kneel by a window, and she'd probably take out the book that Chultimus gave her, and she would open it up and take out like a quill that she has in her bag, some ink, and just kind of begin to write. And as she's writing, the ribbons on her forearms would begin to glow this bright ember red color, and the skin kind of showing through would get like this red irritated look, and the smell of burning you could smell. And she kind of winces, but she is just writing her prayers that she's rehearsed many, many times into this book.
All right. And go ahead and you decide, as everybody's heading down to the dining hall, you decide when you enter. So the rest of you, through various means, are brought down one floor. There's a single staircase on the northern side of the upper floor that leads down into kind of an open area, courtyard that's actually open to the sky. And then you're led around to the southern side where there is a almost the entire southern wall is taken up by a dining hall where there's about 3 or 4 large oaken tables and benches. There's a few people milling around in here. Most notably, Durgan came in with Vail and Cole. There's a man sitting at the far end of a table, and he's got his boots up on the table. He's kind of kicked back, and he's holding a mirror, and he has a very sharp dagger, and you can just kind of see as he seems to be kind of trimming at some of the hairs on his neck with this dagger. When you come in, you can't really even see his face. The way he's holding the mirror up, it just kind of completely obscures his face. So it's you can see some of his hair, and you can see like this large circle where his face should be, and you can see his dagger in there. And Durgan goes right over by him and just kind of starts muttering low. A couple other people start to wander in. Vail, you would notice that the priest that you were talking to has entered. He just gives you a smile and a nod. There is a rather gruff-looking woman that wears a cape emblazoned with the Flaming Fist logo. A couple other people enter. A dwarf, a bald dwarf with kind of a sleeveless leather gherkin and tattoos all up and down his arms. And then Liara Portier herself enters. A few more people start to come in. Along one wall, Ubo, you would probably notice that one of the tables is laden with about a half a dozen pitchers of Tej. And there's a couple casks underneath. There's also a few other things. There's a couple casks of ales from the north, and a couple bottles of amber spirits as well. It appears that though they are in Chult, they have a taste for things from where they come from.
I think Ubo would actually be pretty familiar just with the sight, at least of the different styles of beer in the world, or beverages. He would walk over and grab a pitcher with one hand. He's a very large individual. With the other one, he would attempt to grasp one of the casks. And if he was strong enough to lift it up, he would bring that to the table with the pitcher and begin filling the pitcher with the cask and downing them as fast as he could. But he would find a place at the table away from everybody.
Yeah, you could actually grab one of the tables that's closest to where this thing is. The cask is quite large, but you would be able to kind of manhandle it. You're getting a couple stairs as you do this, but nobody really says anything. The man who was shaving and was hiding behind the mirror kind of peers around, and as he does so, you see that one whole side of his face is all scarred and burned. As Liara comes in and settles in, she kind of comes over to that table, and she looks around to where Cole and Vail are, wherever you might be in the room, and she leans over to the gruff-looking woman, who then comes over first to you, Cole. and just says, "The Blaze is requesting that you sit with us."
Both of us? And she points to Vail, or just
All
more?
of you. She would
Okay.
like to speak. We would like to speak with you. I am
Sounds
I
good.
am Gruta Hall's daughter.
She looks to Vail. Shall we?
I am ready as long as there's grub.
Well, lead the way, Miss.
Gruta Hall's daughter. I am Castellan here.
Gotcha. Thank you, Holstarter.
Yeah,
Come.
she said.
I see your friend has already made himself at home.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he's always thirsty. Yeah.
It is quite all right. Tonight is a bit of a celebration and a feast. Well, celebration is perhaps not the right word. But we do have 4 of our patrols that have been out for quite some time. They have returned, rotated back for a little bit, and you will get to meet them. I believe you've already met Durgan.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of turns and just gives a nod.
And about how often do these patrols of Flaming Fists reconvene like this?
That is need-to-know information.
Of course.
We rotate our patrols frequently. And then she yells. She kicks the table with where those captains are. And she gives it a good solid kick. And she just yells, "Ellington! Get your feet off the table, you bastard." And that's the man who was shaving. And then she says, "Come, over here. The others will be joining us. Sigbjorn, I believe, will be bringing out the course very quickly." I said, "I believe Sigborn," she says quite loudly, "will be bringing out the course quite readily."
Cold is like a after she says it.
And at this point, a man probably in his late 50s starts to come in bearing a huge platter, and a few guards come in dressed in some cook aprons. They start bringing in some other food. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's kind of balding. He's got a big mustache. And he just says, "Keep your skirts on, Grota. I've got your food." And he looks over at Ubo, pouring yet another pitcher, and just says over his shoulder, "Bring a couple more casks of Tej out." And he starts barking orders, and in no time, the 3 tables are filled with all manner of hot and cold food. There's a lot of local fruits, vegetables. There's several large platters of basically like big chunks of meat. They don't even look like any cut of steak you would be familiar with. Some of them tend towards the red, maybe even a little bit green or blue. But you see people begin to dig in, grabbing chunks of meat, regardless of what color it is, without hesitation. Liara kind of looks around for a moment and just reaches out and grabs a big old slab of meat, chunks it onto her plate in front of her, and says, "Don't be shy. We're all soldiers here."
I'll probably turn to Cole and say, "Wait, where's Brill?"
Cole would look around real quick, perk an eyebrow, then look in Vail and say, "Let me go look. Blaze, if you excuse me for a moment, I'll be right back."
She barely gives a grunt of acknowledgement.
And then Cole's gonna leave, and she's gonna go to the sleeping area first, where we have beds at.
Yeah, and I think you'd probably run into Berlinia just as she's leaving, and she just kind of like does like this shudder. Just,
You okay?
I was just coming. Yeah, sorry. The prayers took a bit longer than usual. I was just coming to join you.
Prayers, yeah. Okay, let's go eat then. And she turns around and just briskly walks away from her.
Cole, just...
What's up?
Can you go a little bit easier on Ubo?
Cole originally had like a brisk, like nonchalant expression and energy about her. And the moment you say that, it quickly hardens up. And she stares at you, and the hand comes away from her hip. And she says to you, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I know what he did was bad, but you have to look at... I mean, he's been through a lot.
We've all, well, excuse me, not all of us, but at least 3 of us have also been through a lot, bro. He's not the only one, and I told him this too.
I know, but yelling at him is not going to do anything. It's just going to push him farther away. If you really wanted to help him, you gotta, I don't know, not yell at him?
Here's the thing.
No.
Here's the issue, bro. Giant scorpions, as you know now, are not sweet creatures. And if we run into more of those, right? And Ubo's too busy, I don't know, being suicidal, or crying about being bullied when he was a small baby turtle, or just lying down and sighing to himself, he's going to get eviscerated. Alright? If we run into any of the dinosaurs, the undead, particularly asshole-ish members of the Flaming Fist, I don't know, a random red wizard from Thay, right? And Ubo is too busy with his stick up his ass, what am I supposed to do? What can any of us do? The Chult is not kind, alright? And I know I have a bit of a problem being a bitch myself. I understand that. I'm very self-aware, believe it or not. But the thing is, bro, Ubo's one of us, alright? We're a chain, and he's the weak link in the chain right now. And if that breaks, we're all fucked. And if we're fucked...
And if he's gone, we're weaker. We're not stronger without him.
I don't know if that's true, bro. I don't know if that's true.
He won't let us down.
She kind of puts her hands in her pockets and, like, tilts her head. And then she looks back behind her. And then she's going to turn and start walking and saying, "If you believe in him, I'll do it too, but I'm not holding my breath for long."
Thank you, Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And she would follow you.
Ubo, how fast are you drinking these pitchers of Tej?
I'm going to roll a d20 and see how many I've downed at this point. That'd be 7. So I'd say I'm probably a quarter way through this cask. Probably feeling rather schnockered at this point.
I want you to roll Constitution save.
Sure. That's going to be an 11.
You are definitely feeling the effects of this Tej. It is not at all unpleasant.
Excellent. Sorry. When you guys come back, unless there's something else that you need to do, I have a question. Jake?
Go ahead.
Cole, when you and Brill come back, where would you guys go? Like, where in relationship to me would you go?
Cole's going back to the Blazes table.
And where is that in relationship to me, Jake?
It's the same table as you. They're just on one side of it, or on either side of it, I should say. You're just kind of at the end of this table.
Okay, that's what I need to know. I'm not going to do anything yet except keep drinking.
After Cole leaves to go pick up Berlinia, I'm kind of like sitting there by myself. Everyone's kind of engaged in their food, and I'm grabbing big clumps of food, and suddenly I just kind of think for a sec, like, do I pray or something? And then I kind of look down. I look down at the kind of fetish on my like around my neck, and then kind of look around. I don't really try to make eye contact with the priest, but I kind of try to look to see if he's looking, but kind of like just kind of tap my hands together, just the pads of my fingers, and dear Ubtao, cheers. And then I'll just start like pounding, start eating food and like just grabbing like Tej and like just drinking that and just grabbing another thing. It's like, we're gonna eat that. Hang on. And just grabbing like a thing of like grapes and other like bits and just grabbing just basically eating because I am not eating rations, so I'm gonna fill myself.
I imagine that Vail accidentally picks up like a pair of like raptor balls, eats them, and is like, what the fuck is this?
Chulton oysters, yes.
Exactly. Chulton mountain oysters.
But yeah, I'll just start like grabbing it. It's like, I mean, it's a bit chewy, but it's not bad. I mean, just try some. It's good. Ubo, these are good. You should try one.
I don't think there's enough room.
Oh, there is. Don't worry, it'll help soak up the Tej.
Why would I want to do that?
Well, because then you can drink more Tej. Yes. Eat lots of bread.
No.
Yeah,
Tej.
no, that's good. That's
Tej.
good. I've seen turtles, they like bread. Or is that seagulls? You should eat bread.
Ubo's just kind of like, whatever, just responding in like gibberish. Yeah.
Ubo,
yeah,
you feel a large meaty hand clap you on the back of the shell.
Okay.
And it just says, I like you. You drink like a dwarf.
I would just smile. I would just smile and laugh.
The tattooed dwarf. And he just
Yeah.
gives you another pat. And he's got a mug of big giant stein of Tej, and he looks over at Vail. And you eat like a dwarf. I like you too.
And with that, Jake, I would actually take that my pitcher, and as he was holding up his mug, I would hold up my pitcher to kind of clang it, kind of a cheers, and then just like down the pitcher. When would Cole and Brill be coming in?
They've already come in.
Okay. Where did you guys sit?
I have a deja vu. I sit directly in front of the blaze and
Are
beside
you really
Vail.
drinking?
Yes.
'Cause this was asked and answered. Yeah, they came and said.
But I don't know where Megan is. I don't know where Brill is. That's my question.
Is Brill sitting closer to the Ubo side of the table or the table side where everyone else is at?
Yeah, she probably would have followed Cole and sat with Vail and all the rest of them.
So I'm the only
But
one
just
on
kind
the
of
side
eyeing. Yeah, but just kind of keeping an eye on Ubo.
You're
Yeah,
kind of
so-
like at
glancing
the
over.
end of the table, Ubo.
Gotcha.
You're with all the other kids.
You're at the end of the one table, and everybody else is at the same table as you, kind of on either side of it.
Okay. When you guys sat down, after a few minutes, Brill, Ubo would just kind of be like staring at you, and he would take that kind of big claw, and he goes, "Hey, come here.
There is a very obvious and she would
Don't
kind
do
of
it.
get up and walk
Don't do
over.
it. Brill, don't do it.
And when you got over, I assume that you would sit down. Ubo would be like, "Did you tell him? Did you, because the thing before, that would be bad. Don't tell him. Did you?" And this would be so loud that everybody at the table could actually hear it. Like, "You better not have told him, because then he's going to yell again, or she's going to yell again, and she's kind of a bitch. Where I come from, we would call her a twas nozzle. and it's no fun. Okay, so I just gotta know, did you tell him? Because, and he would just kind of go off into space at that point, but he would just kind of be staring at you, but he would be staring through you.
Mm-hmm. She would just kind of look at him and just, please, what are you doing?
Drinking? What are you doing?
And she would just kind of shake her head.
No, see, because you're the nice one. You don't understand. That one, pointing at Cole, I don't like that one.
Cole's staring
Nobody
at you as
likes
it
that
happens.
one.
So, like, he points at Cole, and Cole's literally just like, uh-huh. Yeah, okay. Keep talking. Like that.
Like, if she weren't a girl, I'd have to smack her around. She thinks she's all big and bad with her gun. I don't know. But I just want to slap her in the face. The other one's okay. He's nice. But that one, no. You should have a drink. Have a drink. And he would push the pitcher over towards you.
The Durgan and the scarred-looking dude, Ellington, are staring at you, Ubo. And an elf, also wearing captain's garb, sits down next to you and just says to you, Ubo, you need to pace yourself. You're awful drunk for the beginning of the feast.
Who are you? And what do you do here?
I'm a captain of one of the patrols. You've already met Durgan. That ugly bastard over there. That's Ellington.
Well, let me let me introduce you to my friends. This is Berlinia. She's very sweet. You'll like her a lot. That guy, well, you don't want to talk to her, but she's Cole with a K over there. And that one over there, his name's Vail. He's really nice too. You should be friends with them. Definitely be friends with them. Do you have any more friends?
Can we get him some water? Is that an option?
He'll be all right. He holds out his hand and says, Sarashent, captain of the patrol. And at this point, Liara says, before your friend gets too wasted, we need to talk. And she seems to primarily be looking at you, Cole. She gives sidelong glances at Ubo and does occasionally favor Vail and Berlinia.
Yes, let's. Please.
So, you have done me a favor and have proven what my patrols could not, that there are giants here in Chult.
Frost giants, to be exact.
Yes. I have rewarded you. I've given you a charter of exploration at no cost to you. And I've also given you some pretty handy items to take with you on your journeys.
Have you?
Remember,
We're quite grateful.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah,
Okay,
remember
thank
she
you,
gave you
Jesus.
the 5+1 magical arrows.
Yes. So she nods again, says, you have, and we thank you for these of gifts.
And I have told you about the ever-present threat of undead. And of course, I'm willing to pay you for ghouls' heads, because all ghouls that are eliminated are better for my patrols. But what I don't know is why you are here in Chult, exactly.
I am an archaeologist from the mainland. I've trained classically from artificers, wizards, a few sages here and there. I've come to Chult personally on behalf of the colleges that I serve. I've come to look, or rather I should say rediscover the lost cities of Mesro and Omo. I've come to see what I could find to bring back for museum purposes, and see what about old Chultan culture I can salvage.
Those are your own personal and selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? And she looks at you, Berlinia. Why are you here?
And Cole gives Berlinia a hard look.
Well, my church sent me here, the Church of Ilmater, to investigate this island.
Cole has like an audible breath. He's like, oh, thank God.
I'm not even going to make you roll for that. That was slick. I was watching all your cameras at that point. I'm just going to let that happen. That was slick. She gives a kind of tight lip, just, mm-hmm. And it would appear as though your total friend is here purely recreationally. But what of you? What of you, half-elf? Why are you here?
Well, and I'm like purposefully looking, but not looking at Cole. Like I'm trying to stare intently at her, not letting the like lasers, kind of drill the two holes into my skull. Well, I don't know. I mean, to tell it true, well, here, this, and I kind of pull out my symbol. I mean, right, so this was happening, right? So I did a lot of odd jobs. Nothing dangerous. I'm not like a superhero adventurer, nothing like that, with the swords and the flashy armor and stuff. Like I don't know, I mucked out stables and I did like all sorts of little things, I did a job once where I repaired nets. That was so boring. Oh my God, you have no idea. I hated the sea after that. Anyway, one day, I was trying to find a place to sleep because I didn't have a home, you see, 'cause I'm homeless, right? Anyway, so I found these ruins, and I just thought I'd go digging around because, you hear a lot of people, they dig around, they find a few gold coin here and there and whatnot. And, well, I didn't find any gold, but I found this. And then after that, my luck changed, right? Like, I was going from place to place, and I was finding stuff here, and then I found this sword, and I was just the weirdest thing. But then for some reason, I just kept having this dream or like this feeling that I needed to go to Chult. And then, lo and behold, right? I'm sitting in this tavern, and I get this fella comes up to me and says, "Right, here, you're supposed to meet this person out in Baldur's Gate, and then we're going to go to Chult." And I thought, that was just really weird, right? And then I get there, and then just, I don't know, just all spiraled out of control after that. Yeah, it's really strange. So, I don't know, how'd you get here?
She looks at you, and then she looks over at Cole, looks around at everyone, holds Cole's gaze for a minute, then looks back at you, Vail. You're going to want to watch yourselves in the jungles. You're going to be incredibly vulnerable with your heart on your sleeve as such.
No, I get that. But, you know, like 2 nights ago, I exploded a fucking scorpion. Like, I didn't just stab it, yeah? It blew up. It was the craziest thing. No, right, I know. You've got a sigh, right? And I know you probably hear a lot of soldiers telling tall tales about how they punched a giant out or something like that. But I swear on
As you say that about punching out a giant, the dwarf lifts his mug up in the air and he goes, "I've done that!"
Right, see?
Well,
But I'm telling you, I exploded a scorpion. Like it was like 1 minute it was there, all like a short sword for a stinger, all pointy at you, and then suddenly I stabbed it and pff, it popped like a big ugly 8-legged zit. It was cool. It was gross, but it was really cool.
I agree with you, though, Blaze, that with how we've been operating lately, things will be very dangerous for us in Chult. That being said, if you have any words of wisdom, I would be very grateful to have them.
Cole,
I'll listen too.
Cole, give me an insight.
Alright.
Or perception, whichever works better.
It's not going to be too high. Let me double check something real quick. Oh, that is a terrifically powerful 7.
Okay. So she kind of looks around, and then she looks back at you, Cole. You have told me why each of you are here. I've learned a little bit about each of you, and if your tales are to be even half believed, as she glances at Vail, you will be a force to be reckoned with in the jungles.
Mm-hmm.
But why is it that you have banded together 4 disparate creatures that don't always get along?
Well, I have an answer for that. And she touches her left earring. This earring is part of how I make my own way of worship. This is for Bashaba, Lady Doom, Goddess of Misfortune. This one over here, Timora, Lady Luck, Goddess of Luck. So sometimes you have good luck, sometimes you have bad luck, but everything is good luck or bad luck, right? That's kind of like what people tend to talk about when they talk about these twin goddesses. So I just considered a bit of good luck and bad luck, really. Met Vail in the port. He was confused, looking around. We got drinks together, seemed to hit it off, worked out well. And Ubo, down there, the giant turtle, was protecting that one right there, sitting with her to protect her. She came to investigate the island, as she said herself. Solita was the thing that really brought us together, the guide, through Volo.
Solita's really nice. You've probably met her already.
And very straightforward, as you probably already know.
That's why Cole gets along with her so well. Like, no filter. Like, at all.
Cole, give me a deception or performance or whatever, however you want to play that charisma as you were talking to her.
Let's look here. I don't think I have proficiency in either one. Yeah, I don't. So it's going to be a flat 16.
She listens to you, and then she says, "You do well when you don't know exactly who it is you're speaking with, to play your cards close to the vest. You are quick-witted, and you do well to embellish your half-truths with a kernel of truth. Remember that caution, before you do not know who you will encounter in these jungles. I will tell you this. I have explained briefly the terms of the Charter of Exploration. Baldur's Gate lays claim to all of Chult from Kitch's Inlet all the way across to the west and to the north. And the Flaming Fist is rapidly making claims further south. You will encounter patrols, some of whom you have already met. You have already met Durgan, Sarashent, Ellington, and Brasswick over there. It would be wise of you not to provoke my soldiers in any unnecessary way. You're going to encounter other patrols out in the jungles whom you have not met. Simply show them your charter of exploration with my signature, and most likely you will emerge unmolested.
Most likely.
I cannot be accountable for my soldiers the longer they are away. They will be held accountable when they return. Speaking of returning, you will be expected to either relinquish 50% of your acquisitions to either a patrol or when you return here to the fort for that express purpose, as per the terms of the charter. You are free to explore. I would ask that you please, as you extend yourself further south, if you survive, to consider what you can bring us in terms of knowledge, information. Everything has a price. Everything can have gold attributed to it, if that is what you wish. And if you wish, if you find yourself bored in the jungle, I have jobs for you as well. Is there anything specific that you will be looking for while you are here in our jungles?
Well, like I mentioned, the two lost cities, really any ruins I should say, is the primary thing I'm looking for. So directions to those, if you have them, or any knowledge or rumors or something like that, would be good. Would be very helpful, in fact.
If you're looking for the lost cities, Mesro is nothing more than legend and ruins. It is very well known to be over by Kitch's Inlet, south of here. Several days. Salida, no doubt, knows the way there. As for the other lost city, we are not entirely certain it exists. At this point, it is little more than legend.
Oh! Question!
This is not a schoolhouse, Vail.
Yeah, but
Please speak.
you did acknowledge me, and I get to ask my question, don't I? See? Right, anyway. Okay, so is one of these lost cities kind of floating on a swamp with like a dead tree in the middle? Kind of what's sort of growing out of it? That sound familiar to you?
It's not a city that I know of as such, but rather there is only one place where a large rock island floats above a swamp.
Yeah, right, okay. So, and?
That is the heart of Ubtao. In the heart of Chult.
Right, well. Okay. I saw it.
Has anyone ever been there before?
Oh, yes. Our patrols have seen it. It was, at one time, it was a holy place of sorts. Back when the god Ubtao was a presence.
Well,
some of the Chultans believe it to be the actual heart of the god. For it does resemble a heart.
Cool. So wait a minute now. So if I had a vision or some sort of a thing where you see a vision of the heart of Ubtao, like, so I don't know. Does that mean we have to go there? Oh, and have you heard anything about some ruins of an airship kicking around here. Because that would be a place I think we should go to get stuff and things that are in the airship.
What? Wait. What? Are you talking... Vail, what?
Yeah, remember we was hearing about some ruins of an airship. It's like a ship what sails on water, but they have a big...
I know what an airship is, Vail.
Right, okay, so good. Then we're on the same page. But there is one that crashed in Chult, and I think there's probably
It would be
stuff.
a fair bet that there's more than one airship that has crashed in these jungles.
What, is everyone that has an airship or just a really shitty pilot?
The jungles create very hot and humid weather, and it can be difficult to navigate over the jungles, particularly with the volcanoes. It was not long ago that I believe in Port Nine Zaru they were expecting a airship from Haruan. But from what my sources have told me, it never arrived, and my patrols have not come across any wreckage. I would be very interested in what you might find on such a wrecked ship, particularly in half of what you might find on such a ship.
You'd think that there would be something like, it would be somewhere like in the Aldani Basin. Because I've heard stories about that. Well, actually, that's not true. Our patron, for lack of a better term, our host, Watanga Otamu, he's what sent us, to go have a boozy.
Cole looks at Vail the moment he starts dropping that name, like, why the hell did you say that?
Maybe she might know who he is. I mean, we don't really know who he is. We know that
everybody knows who Wakanga Otamu is.
Right, well, see, and then the person who hired us is staying with him. So,
Vail, tail, like underneath the table, you feel a tail wrap around your ankle and just grip it really hard. And she's hoping you catch the hint to just stop talking.
Cool, I really don't think this is the time or place for that sort of thing.
Legends. There are legends and stories about the Aldani Basin, yes. They are about as old as the legends of the god Ubtao himself. You will see many strange things in the jungles of Chult, but I would be incredibly surprised if you found giant lobster people. Those are stories for children.
Somebody hasn't looked at the monster manual. Fuck me dead. But no, you know what? I mean, maybe it all is just, for a laugh, but I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool to go see an airship. I don't know, I just think it's really neat that we're all here in this together. Right? I mean, look, I know that, Cole, you're made of nothing but salt and cynicism, and that's okay, because, we still like you just the way you are. And Berlinia, you're just so sweet and nice, and Ubo, you sobered up yet? You still drunk?
You would just see him just kind of holding his pitcher, just kind of staring at it, like, huh?
Fair enough. I think that we could have a really good time, and I think we could do a lot of good, and I think we could probably save the world. I mean, it's not much to look at, but I think we can do it. I mean, provided we don't kill each other first, I think we can do this.
Ubo, I presume that you have been continuing to drink.
Slowing down a bit, obviously realizing that you can't keep going at that pace. Everything's probably spinning for him at this point. Yeah.
I need you to make a I want you to make a perception check. I want you to do so at disadvantage.
Oh. 11.
Berlinia, give me a perception check. At regular, at normal, not at disadvantage. Well, in fact, everybody can do a perception check at this point, except
That's
for
a
Vail.
21.
Vail, you can do one at disadvantage because you're kind of engaged in your
Perfect.
soliloquy.
I got a natural 20, so +1, that's a 21.
Yeah, I also got a nat 20.
Good Lord. So, what about you, Vail? Anything?
Actually, sorry, what was the roll again?
It's perception. Disadvantage for you.
Oh. You know what? I'm probably going to fail. Yeah, like 14. Which is a damn shame because I rolled a 19.
So, Berlinia and Cole, you both notice at the same moment as Ubo is not so much slamming a pitcher, but he's starting to take sips from a pitcher. But he's still kind of doing this, kind of wobbling in his seat. You notice a gray, gnarled-looking, severed hand crawling up Ubo's shoulder.
Bro, what's your reaction first before Cole does something really crazy?
I think Brill's eyes would just kind of widen in shock, and she would open her mouth to scream. And then I assume Cole would do something.
As Brill is screaming, you're going to see Cole flying at Ubo with a knife in her hand. She's trying to get at the hand, but I imagine Ubo and most of the other people will not see that.
Seeing this, just as a reaction, I need to see. Hold on. Yeah, Ubo, just as a reaction, would just kind of try to grab his arm and just kind of roll back on his shell, and just kind of abnormally gracefully for him, just maybe try to like toss Cole to the side, just kind of doing this whole somersault thing while not spilling his pitcher of Tej.
I'll roll with it.
So I want you to make a... I'm going to have you roll dexterity, Ubo.
Okay.
And that's going to be what you have to beat for your attack, Cole.
I was also wondering at the same time, could Berlinia just her hand outstretch and this like fire flame come out?
I got another nat 20, baby. So that's a crit with this knife on that hand.
I have an unnatural 1, by the way.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
So before you release whatever this fire is, Berlinia, you would see Ubo start to make some kind of a move, and it seems surprisingly deliberate for how much he's been drinking. But Cole is just too quick and moves in, and your knife just lunges out and pierces this hand that is now unmoving but pierced on your dagger.
Does it hit me at all?
Absolutely not.
Crit,
Okay.
baby. Cole quickly, like, she slides back away from Ubo, and she's holding her arm out like this, with the blade facing down, pickaxe style, and the hand hanging off of it. And she says to everyone, "What the fuck is this?"
And
You would see.
Go ahead.
You would see Ubo as you're holding what the hell is this. You would see Ubo, even though it doesn't look anything like his hands, he'd be going.
And as Liara and the guards start to stand up and respond, they're just kind of like, oh. In fact, one of the captains, Durgan, just goes, ah. The crawling claws, they're like rats in this place. I told you the jungle is literally crawling with undead. And at that point, you hear from outside, you hear this clang-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. A bell starts sounding rapidly. Instantly, Liara and all the captains are on their feet. Liara turns and looks at the four of you. And she just says, "Stay here. We'll take care of this." And all of the captains and Liara they run out of the room. The priest is still sitting at the table and just looks over at you guys and just says, "It appears as though the undead are pressing the walls again. We should be okay. They are very experienced at this. Enjoy some food."
Cole stares at him for a hard moment, and then with one hand she kind of pushes the crawling claw off, and once it hits the ground she says, "Brill, burn this. I want to go find dragon bait and Salida."
As you...
Berlinia would nod.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Berlinia would nod and just reach out her hand and cast Sacred Flame on it.
It just burns up. And as you turn towards the door to this kind of great hall area, there's kind of an arched doorway. And as you turn, Cole, towards the door, which leads out into that open air area, something very large crashes down into the courtyard in front of you, blocking the doorway. As it lands and it places first one, then two, then three, then four decaying and rotting arms against the doorway, as it looks like a giant, rotting, white-furred, four-armed gorilla. I need you to roll for initiative.
Natural 1.
All right. Marquise?
10.
Megan?
Got a 16?
Mike?
12.
All right. It's going to be Megan first. Berlinia, you're up.
I think that upon seeing this, Berlinia instinctively... how close is Vail to her?
You guys are presumably still at the table.
Okay. She would just kind of go over to him quickly and just like grab his forearm. And you would feel Vail, this like warmth kind of radiating through, just kind of like this heat, and she's casting protection from evil and good, if he's willing.
I will take that. Yeah, I just feel the surge and just
and as
feel like
quickly as
weird.
she held on, she would just let go and just kind of nod and get away from these beasts.
There's just the one.
Or beast. Gorilla.
Yeah, I bet one is enough.
And that's going to be Vail. You're up next.
All right.
If that's the end of your turn there, Megan, I assumed.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, so I draw my rapier and go, right, well, and kind of wave it a bit. No, nothing? All right. And I will cast, like, I'll basically do Divine Smite, and I'm just going to lunge straight forward, gonna try and stab it in the melon.
All right.
I don't know if that's gonna work. I have to double check. So that would be a 13 to hit.
That is going to hit.
Oh, cool. All right. So then I need one of these, and I need two of these. Right? Is that right? Yeah, it is. Crazy. Oh, no. That's wrong. I roll 3d8, not 2d8. Silly bugger. All right. So that's 12. So 17. So that'd be 22 points of, well, damage altogether. So 17, no. Yeah, 17 points of piercing and 5 points of radiant.
Okay.
I'm like, whew, that's exciting. And I'll kind of like back up a little bit. And that'll be my turn.
All right. That was a good solid strike on this thing. And it is Cole's turn.
That table, is it like segmented at all? Or are there other tables in the room? Or
There's a total of 3 large oaken tables, each one at least 12 feet long.
oh god, okay, I could have okay. She's going to quickly, like, the moment this thing starts shoving its hands through the door and entering the portway, she's already turned, she started running, and she jumps over one of the tables, kind of sliding over it, and when she lands on the other side, her thunder cannon is already drawn, and she levels it so that way she's looking directly at this thing. She waits for Vail to dart in and dart out, and as he's backing up, as he said he did, a bullet is going to go flying. I pre-rolled and I got a 15 to hit. Does that hit?
That hits.
That's going to be 14 points of piercing damage. As you see this sphere explode outwards, this plume of gas go pouring from the barrel. The gas, smoke really, is blue in color, and lightning is just arcing from this metallic sphere as the bullet hammers into the chest or one of the arms of this gorilla.
Chunks of rotting flesh and bone shoot out.
And then I'm taking cover behind that table.
And it is now this thing's turn. It is closest to Vail. And it gives just a mighty hoarse roar that as its jaws open up and it roars, you hear the roar not from its mouth, but from its torn open throat. And it comes at you, arms and teeth flailing. And I'm going to roll these attacks. What's your AC, Vail?
Whoops. Shouldn't do that when I'm muted. 14.
Miss. Miss. Hit. Miss. Miss. So only one of the
Now
5 attacks hits
Just
you.
double checking, it does have disadvantage against Vail.
Oh, well, let me just double check that one that hit.
Okay.
It hit still.
Okay.
So it, like, just all 4 of its arms are slashing at you, but it was kind of thrown off balance from both your attack and the gunshot that ripped a big chunk of its side out. And it mostly flails at air. Its teeth crack together in front of your face, missing. But one of its claws does strike you, dealing 6 points of slashing damage as it rakes out across you.
Well, undead. No, I'm just kidding.
Does he have it? He has protection from the undead, so that just grants the disadvantage, right?
Yep.
Okay. And finally, Ubo.
I don't really know what Ubo would do. I think he would kind of take everything in, what was going on. He would look at Brill. Is Brill closer to him than to this thing? Like, would he need to move?
She's closer. She's still at the table with you.
Okay. I want to get halfway between this thing and Brill, and just kind of stand there and just kind of swaying back and forth. Basically, I want to ready a dodge action, but I don't want to do anything yet. I just want to get ready just in case it does.
You can just do the
me.
dodge, and it lasts until the beginning of your next turn.
Yeah, dodge.
There you go.
Yeah, dodge lasts until your next turn.
That's fine. Then that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of swaying halfway between me and Brill.
All right. Back up to you, Mike, or rather, Vail. No, I mean Berlinia.
Brill, yeah.
I'm just gonna say everybody's name.
You're left out.
So Berlinia is going to kind of duck beside Ubo so that she has a clear shot at this thing, and she's going to concentrate and she's going to take out this weird little, like, jagged looking stick, and she's going to use Eldritch Blast at it.
All right.
And so that's a 20 to hit. Unnatural.
That is a hit.
And that is going to be 9 force damage.
It takes it solidly in the chest. It glows. What color is your Eldritch Blast?
I would say probably like a yellow, bright kind of thing.
It strikes it, and this energy goes inside it, illuminating where you can kind of see where its flesh is rotted away, almost like it's illuminating its bones for a moment. It staggers, but it still stands. And it looks really pissed off, Vail.
Well, I'm most certainly not going to try and make it laugh, because it's going to laugh its way into my chest cavity. So that's not a thing. Looking at it, I kind of just shrug my shoulders and then just kind of stab at it again, just a regular attack.
All right.
There you are. I was wondering where this nat 20 was. Like, God damn you.
Is that 3 nat 20s already in the session?
That's the fourth.
Fourth.
So I got 2 and Meg got 1.
Which is saying a lot because we haven't rolled a lot of dice this session.
Considering I've rolled 2 1s, it's fine.
Yeah, no, you're balancing.
It's all the Tej.
Yeah. See, should have drank. Should have been a teetotaler. So let's see. So that's so it automatically does max damage.
Max damage.
And then I just roll again to add for it.
And are you smiting too, Mike?
No, I am not.
Shame.
Well, I didn't call it. So
what were you attacking with? Rapier?
Rapier, yeah.
You can call smite after the attack connects.
Why don't you just go ahead and describe how you destroy this zombie Garrison?
Okay, but I still have a D8 to roll.
I mean, you can roll it if you want, but
I rolled a 7. I rolled a 7 plus, so it's 20 damage. So I feel pretty good about that.
It's very
very dead.
past
so
undead into dead.
So this thing is like bashing its arms, trying to swipe out and everything else, and I just kind of I'm dodging and moving and dodging and I'm kind of getting a little nervous, and finally I hear this voice in my head. Come, see, and strike like the beasts of my land. And I just come straight up underneath its jaw, hooking through its soft palate and just straight into its brain, kind of giving it a twist and then back out again. And because I rolled a nat 20, why not? I kind of hook it out and then flip the blade back, just watching this thing. You think it's going to cut me, and it just kind of passes back, and I just twist my body, and it falls straight into the scabbard, and I just turn and walk right back to the table, grab some Tej, and just take a big swig. Well, that was fun. Eh? That was fun. Let's not do that again.
And Cole, you see as he does this, and it looks every bit as awesome as he just described it. And as this thing collapses to the ground, what's left of it, and he's walking to the table and self-congratulatory, you see beyond the doorway where the body fell, out in the open courtyard, you see Salida and Dragonbait surrounded by half a dozen humanoid zombies. It's your turn, Cole.
Cole explodes in the motion. She screams out Salida's name as she barrels right past Vail. In fact, I imagine she kind of knocks Vail to the side with her shoulder. She jumps over where this gorilla is, and she's sliding on the grass. She catches herself. She keeps running at them, starts about 30 feet away, and just raises the thunder cannon and fires again. I pre-rolled again, so I had an 18 to hit for 7 damage. Just at one of the zombies.
All right. Yeah, you strike. Your bullet pierces through the zombie, causing it to lurch. But
and then
doesn't drop it.
Doesn't drop. Once it does that, she knocks the top of it, begins pulling another bullet out of her pocket, and she screams out, Ubo, bro, out here now! Vail, you too! And that's going to end her turn.
And it's actually, at this point, Salida, seeing your shot come out and strike the one, she uses the distraction to take, with her sword, she swings it around, striking first one, and then another zombie as she takes 2 swings at these things, and does slices an arm off of one and slices a big chunk into its belly where black just goo and tendrils start to seep from its gut. And it is well, that's dead, so it is Ubo's turn.
How far outside are they from me? Can I get there?
You're at the table, so it's about 30 feet just to the door, and they're out in the courtyard, so they're about 50 feet away.
Okay. Then I guess I can use a dash action. And basically just get up to him.
All right.
I can't do anything else, so I'll just get up to him. I really just wanted to run up to him and see, kind of staggering, if I could jump, sideways and pin him on the ground. But that's probably not enough when I'm using a dash
You
action.
spend a key point to make the dash into a bonus action.
So I wouldn't do that yet. I wouldn't know. So yeah, I'll just get as close as I can to him without an action for now.
And as this huge Hulk comes just rushing through the door, Dragonbait pulls out his sword that has been on his back. And his sword, the blade appears to be glowing as he whips out this longsword. And he also takes 2 swipes at zombies. And what is that in plus? I ain't gonna do much. And you see as his sword cuts into these 2 zombies, there's a brilliant flash of light. And with each strike, and the zombies seem to just sizzle and glow and turn to ash where he struck these 2 zombies. So there's now 4 zombies left. So it is now back to the top to Berlinia.
Yeah, so Berlinia, seeing Cole and Ubo kind of charge out, her eyes would quickly glance to Vail, and you would see like her eyes just kind of like glow quickly, and same with the ribbons on her forearms just kind of light up, and she would cast, just do like a healing light on him, which he gets 1d6 worth of healing, and then without really missing a beat, she would just run to where she could get a good line of sight of the remaining undead, and do the same thing, put out her this weird little stick thing, and do another Eldritch Blast.
All right. Fire away.
So that's a 14 to hit.
That hits.
And that does another 9 points of force damage.
So you strike this zombie, and your Eldritch Flame, it's very similar. It looks very similar to when Dragonbait struck his, though there's less radiant. It's a different type of energy. But you struck another one down. There are now 3 zombies. And Vail.
So I would slam back the Tej, finish it off, actually just flip it over back of me, jump onto the table, and then just like book it. And if I run pretty good, would I be able to get in range to attack a zombie?
Because you basically killed the thing. You went back into the table, to the end of the table. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to run up to either one by either Salida or Dragonbait, whichever one is the closest one, and then just, kind of take a good hard stab at it. And that'll be a 20 unnatural to hit.
That hits.
Okay. That's a... and then that'll be 9 points of piercing damage as I kind of give it a good shot to the brain pan.
It lurches as you pierce and then withdraw your rapier, but it does not appear to die. again.
For a free action, if it turns towards me, I give it the finger.
All right.
As you would.
That is going to be Cole.
So I probably should get my own dice cam because I keep rolling really unbelievably well, Jake. I used my point of inspiration because I had a 5 originally, and I got another natural 20. So how many zombies are left? Because I just want to pick one and just obliterate it real quick.
There's 3 left, only one of which has not yet been struck.
Okay, that one that hasn't been struck, that the others were kind of dancing around. Cole aims the thunder cannon towards it. Her heart is beating in her chest rapidly. The adrenaline is pumping through her flames, and something else too. Something more sinister, something more spiritual, something demonic. And her eyes narrow, and she feels an anger bubbling up and then spreading through her body like the fast-acting poison of the scorpions that eviscerated Berlinia just a few days prior. She looks at that one zombie, and she has forgotten to reload the thunder cannon, but she pulls the trigger anyway. And when she pulls it, something leaps from her, something unseen, something unfathomable. And what goes flying from the thunder cannon is a bullet made of condensed flame, a flame that burns black, that arcs with electricity, and strikes this zombie directly in the chest. And the moment it hits, that anger fades away all at once from Cole. And she takes a step back, and she is a bit in disbelief by what she just did because of that feeling, and she remembers she didn't load the bullets. But also the scientist part of her brain is activated, and she's cataloging that information for the future. So the damage you would have had, since we do max damage plus roll, would be 12 plus 9 plus 2, which is a whole lot of numbers. I don't feel like adding up, but I think kills a zombie anyway.
Yeah, and it's high enough that it can't survive the DC for zombie fortitude. So we've seen what it looks like as this arcane energy left Gunslinger Cole. What does it look like when it hits the zombie and destroys it?
I imagine the zombie's like behind Dragon Bait, and it's like it's going to do a zombie thing, right? It's going to jump on his back, rip his throat out, have a good time with all his zombie friends. The bullet hits it in the side. The zombie's body goes flying back at first, and then you see something leave through the other end. And as it leaves, it's like a spike of black flame, and the flame just kind of consumes the rest of the zombie's body, like an implosion of sorts. And all that kind of hits the ground is a bit of ashes, the hands and the feet of the zombie.
Yeah, like when it hits it, it looks like where it goes flying backwards, but it never strikes the ground.
Yes.
And Ubo, you're up there in the fray. A zombie has just been obliterated by this. Berlinia has shot energy at it. Another one. There's swords flying around. There's still 2 zombies. And both of them are within range of your attacks.
Whichever one is closer to Megan, I would move over between them, and I would use my staff and try to whack on it.
Did you move into the fray at all, Berlinia? You're still in the room, right?
Yeah, I just went to the door just so that I could see them.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. All right, I know which one you're going for.
Yeah, basically whichever one's closer. I just rolled a 2, so I'm going to use a point of inspiration that I have. And rolled a 3. So
this is what happens when you spend half the session drinking. Ubo.
Well, then it's accurate. Then it's accurate. Ubo is, you can see him. He's like holding his staff and he's swaying back and forth and he's, hitting, but he's completely whiffing and just kind of stumbling over his own feet, swaying back and forth, but basically being useless.
I think, Ubo, you might think that you're doing pretty well because you're attacking the double vision version of the zombie. And in your vision, you're striking this thing.
I'm like, yeah, take that. Mm-hmm. Do it.
To anybody else, it looks like Ubo's performing a kata. It looks really good, but he's just performing the kata instead of...
it's like super crisp. It's super crisp and like fly, but the zombies are just like, dude, what are you doing?
And it's Salida is going to take a couple swings and Salida swings around and comes very close to striking Ubo. And in doing his kata, what are you attacking with? A staff?
Yes, yeah, a quarterstaff.
So as you do this kata and you kind of swing it, what you think you just disintegrated a zombie, you actually knock Salida's sword down toward the ground. You don't knock it out of her hand, but it's actually worked out in your benefit. She rolled a nat 1 and would have hit you otherwise. And she does hit that one. Okay, I was looking at the wrong AC. She hits the other one and does... And let's see if that survives. It does not. So Salida knocks one down. Dragon Bait is... There's too many people in here for him to be able to get to this other one. So he's just kind of standing there, sword in hand, and looks expectantly over through the room, actually at everybody. And Berlinia. One zombie remains.
Berlinia's just going to take a deep breath and, okay, focus. And she kind of puts out her hand this time, and the ribbons around her arm just kind of start glowing again. And she casts Guiding Bolt, which is a 23 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
And that does 18 radiant damage.
How does this look as you end the fight?
So I just imagine that she's just like breathing, and I think she even closes her eyes before she lets off this thing, and it just goes sailing across right by each of her companions who are fighting, and just hits this thing directly in the chest. And I would imagine it almost like just like expands around it, just igniting it in this like white glow, and it falls, and Berlinia lets out this like squeal of excitement, just like a little child. Just, I hit it! Oh my goodness! I killed it! I mean, again,
Bro would feel like Cole slapping and then like rubbing her back, and she'd say, "Good shot, girl, good shot, but I don't think we're done here yet." And she's going to start looking around the courtyard.
So you're in the courtyard of the Inner Bailey, and it would be off to the west, to your left, would be the way to head kind of out into the courtyard of the, and then into the fort proper. You actually would notice at this point that there is no longer any ringing of the bells, and the doors to the left come crashing open, and you see Blaise Portier and the 4 captains, and a couple others covered in ichor and gore, coming into the back into the Bailey, and they're kind of being nonchalant, like all in a day's work. And then they stop and they look around at all of you who I imagine are kind of, in the fray. Ubo's maybe getting a couple last moves in his imaginary kata. And they look around at all the zombie bodies and the zombie Garrison. And they look over at all of you. And in this area in particular, are only Vail and Ubo, and Vail, Liara just looks at you, and she goes, "Huh. Did all of you do this?"
Oh, yeah. But, Berlinia, she was the real hero. Yep. Torched all them zombies right up. Turned them all into, like, zombie kebabs. You know what? It sounded funnier in my head. It's fine. But, no, we're good. We're good. Worked up a bit of an appetite, which is good. See, I see what happens, right? You bring out the first course, and it's all that food, and then you're like, we need some way to work this off so we can shovel even more food into us. So you bring in the zombies, and we all have a good fight at things. I like it. And then we build up an hunger again, go back in, and then we just eat some more. I like it. It's good.
Durgan looks at you. "I like the way you think. Let's get a drink." Liara looks at you. She kind of looks around at all the dead zombies. She kicks at one of them in the head. Looks over to Cole. "I don't see any ghouls here. It's too bad. But good work nonetheless."
Yeah, too bad.
And I imagine everybody would kind of go back to just eating and drinking for a while longer. Conversation, Liara is no longer taking or asking any real questions. She's giving out some a few words of encouragement about what you guys did. And the
Cole probably would have excused herself, by the way,
Okay.
but before everything began again.
the priest pretty much gives from his point of view, where he was in the dining hall, gives Liara a full accounting of your heroic actions, though she seems only mildly impressed. Eventually, everything winds down, and everybody begins to drift off in various states of drunkenness or fullness, and you would all eventually find your way to your bunks.
Well, I'm going to go straight to the cot, sit down, take my boots off. However, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one boot and I'm going to stand it up. And I'm going to take the other boot, I'm going to turn it upside down, and then I'm going to place one boot inside the other boot. So I don't want a goddamn thing crawling up in there.
Eventually, the room is filled with the snores of, I imagine, drunken snores of a giant turtle.
I was going to say cold probably, but yeah, I guess, yeah.
And we see each of you lying asleep in your bunk. And then we see Ubo standing at a beach, surrounded by other turtles, running around in orange cloaks. And Ubo stands there, two massive pitchers of Tej, one in each hand. And as the other turtles run off down the beach, he plops down on the beach, downs first one and then the other, and then the other one's full again, and he downs that one, and then the other one's full and he downs that one. And after about 3 or 4 repetitions of this, he falls to his back on the beach, and both full pitchers stream endless Tej, which begins to pool in a depression on the beach. and we see footprints, or rather feet, step up next to this pooling Tej. And we see Berlinia looking down at the unconscious form of Ubo on the beach. And the Tej is pulling up around his head, and she leans down to him. And then she catches something, a reflection in the Tej. And as she looks into the pool, she sees a reflection, but it's not her face. Mirrored in the Tej, we see Gunslinger Cole looking up out of the darkness at Berlinia. And the image flips, and we see Cole on her knees looking into a pool of illumination surrounded completely in darkness. And the image of Cole staring into this illuminated pool recedes further and further and further into blackness until it's just a little pinpoint of light. And then a sphere begins to emerge. And then a little white with red lines around it, as we see now that we are staring into someone's eye. And then the rest of their face, just as it begins to kind of become visible, is shrouded in shadow as we pull further back and we see a cave. And we pull further back and we see this cave is in the side of a giant rock with stairs leading just up away from it, up to the top of this giant rock where a dead tree is at the top, and pulls further back still until we see that this giant rock is floating and we are standing in a swamp. And it pulls even further back until we see Vail standing at the edge of the wood, ankle deep in the swamp, staring at this giant floating rock. And the only sound that can be heard is and that's where we're going to end.
Spooky, I like it. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Awesome!
All right. That was a very, very RP heavy session. But I love it. We knew going into it was going to be like this. You guys had some things you needed to work out. And
that were not worked out.
But I got drinking. That's good.
You guys are starting to learn some things about yourselves and each other. And I think you have a little bit more direction at this point. So another day has passed. I believe 3 full days have actually now passed since you arrived. It might be 4. I have to double check that. Or no, wait, you spent 2 days on the boat, didn't you?
You sure did.
This was the same day as that. It was all in one day. This is 4 nights have now passed. And just for anybody that's watching, we're using milestone XP, so you won't necessarily see level ups happening on screen, though I believe you may have gotten just a hint of the characters beginning to level up into level 3 now. So you will all be actually at level 3 when we start our next session next week, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/mini-terrain domain. Chult of Personality, the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. I want to thank Vail Listafall, Mr. Mike the Piper, Berlinia, thank you Megan, Dice on Ice RPG, Ubo, the now drunken Turtle Monk, the RPG Construct and Something RPG-ish, and of course, the ever, I want to say sassy, but I also want to say bitchy, Gunslinger Cole. See, you thought I was going to say Marquise. Gunslinger Cole, played by the always sassy Marquise, from a point of inspiration at a point to inspire. I am, of course, Jake from Mini-Terrain Domain, and this has been MTD&D. Mr. Duh and Duh.